Hey, welcome to the fourth episode of Sublime Studios, and today we have yet another guest, Atirath, who is a comedian, who is a Krav Maga white belt,
Brown belt, bro.
brown belt.
White belt,
Yeah, I'm
come on,
jumping ahead.
come on.
Yeah, and a musician and an aspiring actor, and your hosts Eugene and Nick. Cool.
Welcome.
Cool. Yeah. So Atirath, some
Did
context,
he
like-
pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, he gets it. You got it
Yeah,
correct.
pretty good
I
actually.
got it correct
I was
automatically,
surprised.
It's
It's a complicated name. Like
It is.
even I guess I can't pronounce so
but
perfectly.
interesting. That 2 days ago, he was Seabass. He was Seabass.
Yeah, Seabass, I was.
We had that scene. It was our actually we were passed with this scene by our coach at an acting class. We've done okay job first time, and he said that we can do it in a bit, based on the feedback we received. And like you crushed it, dude.
Thank you. That means a
See,
lot.
there is a story,
Yeah.
where I posted both of us.
What? What was that? What was what?
You just told your wife you were still at work.
So,
So why didn't you tell her it was bro night?
I just didn't.
I feel like that's weird, dude.
What's weird?
Because you're not at work, you're hanging out with me.
Yeah, but Mikey doesn't need to know that.
Yeah, it's definitely weird now. I'm not liking this at all.
Look, listen, Seabass. You'll understand when you get married. Sometimes it's okay to have secrets.
First of all, thanks for reminding me I'm single. Second of all, bro night isn't a secret. We've been doing this for years and Maggie knows that.
Shy, yeah. Of course, she definitely knows it.
Wait a minute, wait a second. Are you saying you've been lying to Maggie once a month for 3 years?
I'm not saying that.
What the hell is wrong with you, Chris?
Cool. All right. So you're an actor.
I mean, I'm in acting class, so if you consider that, if you consider me an actor,
I'll
then
make you
sure. But
automatically.
I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not making money. I'm not making money as an actor, not yet.
But you're aspiring actor,
Aspiring
right?
actor,
So that's
yeah.
that's. I mean, everyone has a journey, and this is the
Yeah,
right
very
moment.
beginning.
Maybe when you become a big actor, we have to
I'll
get
make-
the appointment in advance.
I'll make sure to hook you guys up with some free cocaine, some
Yeah.
strippers.
That's what we. That's why we're making connections with
yeah.
aspiring actors. Later on, it becomes very expensive.
I'll invite you onto my yacht.
Oh.
We'll snort cocaine and eat.
Perfect.
Oh no.
You're my dream lifestyle.
Tapas.
Yeah.
What's the most pretentious snack that you can eat? Tapas.
Pretentious, I would say,
Caviar?
roast squid with some acid on top of it.
Roast squid with acid on top
Yeah.
of it. Okay.
Oh, I see.
I think that's as extreme as it can get.
I don't even know what that is, man. Wait, quid? It's a bird,
You
right?
sprinkle acid on it.
Yeah, you can crush it or you can snort it. It depends on your way of killing yourself.
Yeah. That's terrible.
Cool. All right. So we have some questions for you
Okay, bring it.
today, and so obviously you're talking about this situation where you've made it. You became like famous actor. You got finally your IMDb page with like one.
Everyone has an
one
IMDb
show
page.
there.
I think it's really easy to get an IMDb page, man. That's the
Yeah.
standards are pretty low
Is it,
there,
like,
man.
is it like Wikipedia where you can just go and create
Almost.
a page for yourself?
I think
How does this work?
almost anyone can get it. It's pretty easy to get, dude.
Right. But why do you think you like? I have an answer for this, but why do you think acting is your thing? And how do you feel about acting now in the beginning of your journey? And what would be success for you, like in a year from now?
All right. So basically, how did I decide that acting was my thing, and how would I define success? Right. I guess that's kind of all right. So I'll answer the first part of the question. There's a lot of things that are my thing, right? Like I don't like, for some people, maybe they spend all of their time training for like marathons or whatever, right? Then they go
Yeah.
to the Olympics. I mean, I do a lot of things. I do acting, I do stand up, I lift weights, I do martial arts, I cook. I have way too many hobbies. So I guess a better way to think of the question is, how did I decide that I just want to go into acting, right? Let's see. So I guess first, I got into stand-up comedy, right? Then after I got into stand-up comedy, I kind of just I like to tell stories, right? Like I like to tell stories. I like to, so like stand-up comedy, you're performing in front of other people, right? And I like to tell stories.
Yeah.
So, acting has a lot of like similarities with stand-up comedy. There is a reason why so many comedians become actors, right? Why they get into acting. I think part of it is like, you're performing in front of people. You know how to like articulate yourself. You know how to express yourself. I guess. Also, I guess I just liked watching movies. Some of the video games I saw, sometimes like a certain character, you see them in a video game or like a movie, and they just really move you. So I guess acting is like kind of a part of storytelling. I'm also a writer as well, right? I really enjoy writing and stuff. So I guess acting is just another component of telling stories.
Yeah. Okay.
And then success, right? The second part.
What do you write?
What do I write? Obviously, jokes, right? All right, stand-up comedy material. I've written like some screenplays with my friend as well. Like some, we haven't gotten around to filming it, but we've been discussing it. Let's see what other writing. I've also written like I've also written like a horror story as well. I haven't
horror story.
Yeah, I haven't published that yet. Let's see what else have I written. Yeah, I've written screenplays. I've written horror stories. I've written jokes. It's a wide plethora of things.
Have you had anything recorded of your performance, like stage performances?
For stand-up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some videos. I'm not sure if I don't know if I will publish them or not. I usually record them so I can like kind of see, okay, what's landing. Are there any like body language things I can improve on, right? Like any nonverbals I can improve on, any ways I can improve my delivery, things like that. I guess I probably have some funny clips here and there, but I just haven't gotten around to posting them. But I do have them.
That's interesting. So for horror writing, how do you get into the mood of horror writing?
Oh yeah, that's great.
Do you have a routine or
routine.
a quick?
Okay, so a routine. That's a great question. Let's see. I guess it's not like, I don't like do stretches or whatever before, like I write a horror story, nothing like that. But I guess I do have like certain techniques that I can kind of use to consistently like make something that's scary. I guess one of the things that makes a horror story good is that it violates like some sort of a value that we all have, right? Let's take, what's like your favorite horror movie? Or what's a horror movie that you like that a lot of people would know, or a lot of the people listening to this podcast would know?
Grudge maybe.
Grudge, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess like why is a grudge scary, right? Like one thing we all value is security, right? That's a value that we all have.
Right.
The grudge violates our feeling of security, right? It crawls up. Wait, no, the ring is where like the ring is the one.
Let's
where
talk
she
about
crawls
ring.
out this,
We don't have
where
to.
she crawls out of the.
Let's talk
Okay,
about.
yeah, let's take the ring.
A ring is also one of my.
The Ring is.
one
Have you
of
seen the
good-
Japanese version of The Ring?
Japanese.
I wasn't able to finish it. It was just so terrifying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god! I didn't know
I
that.
quit at this. There was this close up on the horse's eye. Remember?
Horse's eye.
You mean the clip they play, the video they play on the TV in the ring?
I don't remember everything.
Okay.
I just remember particular like slices of it because I wasn't able to watch it in one swipe. It was so terrifying for me.
Let me guess. You
wow.
probably paused the movie throughout just to take breaks, right?
Exactly.
No, you gotta watch it in one shot, bro.
I built a whole brick house.
You
I
gotta,
guess I'm the most insensitive one
movie.
here.
you gotta watch the horror movie without any pauses, and you gotta wear headphones. All right, that's how a real man does it.
Oh, headphone I have not tried actually. That sounds interesting. Because I usually, unless like I'm into already that mood, I usually don't get scared from the horror movies. Especially like American horror movies are like, okay, not that scary. I would say like, okay, Japanese, Korean, these horror movies are scary in the sense.
I think, yeah.
They go break into your soul, like they break the basic concept of you and like they get into your head. And American horror movies, I believe, like they're mostly like jump scares. Like they are very good in like jump scares, and it's not building up to get into your instinct, right?
Yeah.
For Japanese and Korean horror movies, like they touch you from the base, kind of like you literally feel scary after the movie also, right? Scared.
What's a Korean?
I think part of it is because you're unfamiliar with it, and that's kind of what makes it scary, right? There's more uncertainty, right? Like we're so used to like certain tropes in like in the West, right? Like dragons, princesses, zombies, things like that. But like Japanese, like there's probably a lot of Japanese mythology that we haven't like read, that we haven't like read or like even known about. And if someone were to make a horror movie about it, it would be very new. It's like, okay, I've never seen this. I think like it's a little bit similar with anime, right? Like sometimes some people have a hard time understanding like Japanese anime, right? Because their storytelling techniques are a little different, right?
That's
like,
what makes it interesting also.
Yeah,
right?
that's also what makes it
very
interesting.
refreshing. I love that. So for example, like any movie which has a series, I'll always love the first version of it, because that brings the new concept, new ideas, and it was totally new. That like fascinating. And the second series, because it got popular, and then they make the second and third one. Oh yeah, sometimes they have great stories, but like first one is always like is the most difficult to bring it on the board and to introduce to the audience and like be sure that okay, audience will love it or not. There's a lot more stake for when you bring in the first story for anything, right? So that's what I guess what you meant also, like when we see first time for the any Korean, Japanese, or like Thai movie or something like that, like we are not very familiar with them, and now we get like surprised, oh, this is something new, and then we start thinking about it. So that may like get into our consciousness that okay, that's something interesting.
Yeah,
That's a very solid point. Yeah.
yeah. I think I've also kind of noticed it seems like like for me, like when I consume horror, it tends to be in like video games, right? I haven't like watched The Grudge, but I've like seen like some pictures. I can see, okay, yeah, that's why people are scared of it.
It's about like when you watch the whole movie, then you get scared mostly, because the build up, the whole thing is about the build up to the scare.
Yeah, and you don't get a break. You don't get a break to calm down.
Yeah. If you take a break, the build up is gone, kind of thing. Also.
Yeah, like I mean, like if a guy with the chainsaw is chasing you, you don't get to like take a break. You have to keep running, right? Like there's no pause button on that. So I guess still like
you can do it. Time out. Take a breath. I'll also take a breath, and then we're gonna start again. Like in that, what was those movies? Scary movies, right?
Yeah. But
Scary movie
that's
1,
so
2,
more
3,
funny,
4,
like
5.
Oh yeah,
They
they're
were like
parodies.
so funny.
Right?
They were exactly about the same thing.
Oh yeah, they like overact.
All the
yeah.
parody of the scary movies.
I should probably watch those. That'd be pretty
Those
cool.
are hilarious, like amazing. They will do exactly this kind of thing. Take a pause in the middle of something scary going on, and then okay, continue.
Continue. I'm guessing they break the fourth wall like they show the door.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm guessing. I've never watched it. I just made that guess. Yeah, but for me, you know, when I consume horror, I guess like the most recent like the most recent horror content that I've consumed is like Resident Evil Village. It's definitely a solid game. And The Evil Within, those are some really good games.
Oh yeah, that's basically whole genre of like. I remember Silent Hill was a big thing.
Silent Hill,
Silent
yeah.
Hill, yeah.
Yeah,
They-
15 years ago.
It was like, you mean like the first Silent Hill installment, or you mean like one?
I played the game and then I watched. I don't remember, was it the movie first or the game first? or the
Silent
other
Hill
way
is,
around?
it was a game. It's a game.
Yeah.
That's how it came out. Like when it came out, they didn't like they had very limited hardware, right? They couldn't have very intense graphics. So like one interesting thing they did was in order to make it so they didn't have to render a bunch of stuff, they just put a bunch of fog. And that actually made things more scary. That actually made the game better. So,
Yeah,
like,
because of this.
Smarter, more scary way to do it.
yeah, because your situational awareness is severely reduced, right?
Have you ever tried these scary games or like horror games with the VR?
VR. I've been meaning to get Resident Evil 4 for the Quest 2. My dad got like an Oculus Quest 2. I really love Resident Evil. I've been meaning to
I
get
guess that
Resident
would
Evil
be
4.
a whole new experience. Right?
Yeah, because you're like right in it. But like it's so nice because like instead of using a joystick, it feels like you're actually aiming like a handgun at the enemies. And like you can turn your head around freely. So like you really have to pay attention.
Yeah.
I did play like Horizon Reloaded or something. It's like a zombie game on the Quest store. It's not really that scary. It's just like kind of
They're catching
zombie
up
block.
also, right? This is all new genre, right? For having games on VR.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is.
guess it's gonna evolve, and there's so much technology. Like this is so in the beginning face, I guess. Once it matures, it's gonna be like indifferentiable from the reality kind of thing.
Yeah, for the graphics, I could probably see that happening. Like right now, the Quest 2, it's like the goggles are like this wide, right?
Yeah.
See, you know that feeling you get when you see like the first iteration of the Apple Macintosh, right?
Yeah, that's right.
20 years from now,
This
like
big?
the 20 years from now, the next generation's just gonna look at the Oculus Quest 2. It's like, did people wear those things?
I guess they'll be just contact lens. You just wear them, then that's it.
The future of that is what again, like this ubiquitous Elon Musk is doing with the Neuralink. So it's like, it's like almost this Matrix-ish reality where you have a bunch of electrodes in a port, and you can just plug the cable into the port, and you have the virtual reality going on in your head. You're sending all the signals to the right nerves. You don't even need any hardware.
That's why I love that movie scene from Matrix where Trinity, and she was like about to ride a bike, and then okay, download the software for how to ride a bike, and boom, she is the best bike rider in the world.
And that'd be pretty interesting. You don't have to go to college. Like if you want to get a degree, you just download it.
Just download it. If you wanna be good at anything.
Yeah, but speaking of getting good, so one thing we never talked about, but I'm curious to learn more about your involvement. So Krav Maga,
Yeah.
right? So that's a martial art, but it's quite unusual art in the sense that it's very practical. So I never tried Krav Maga myself.
What is that? I have no idea.
So what I know, and you tell me if I'm wrong. So it's
It sounds like a comic book.
yeah, thinking about like anime or
Anime.
so this is a collection of techniques and practices of self-defense, which initially came out of Israeli military.
Israeli military, correct.
So the purpose of that craft is to be as efficient with your time and escalate as less as possible, and only do, well, this is where I'm going to bridge to you, but it's a bit different from like say karate or kickboxing where you are kicking for the sake of kicking. There is basically how can you avoid all the trouble, on the battlefield or, in the street and whatnot.
Yeah, it's somewhat accurate. Yeah, Krav Maga, it's street fighting, I guess,
Yes.
right? Because it doesn't mean like how do I say it? It really is useful to kickbox, right? Like,
Yeah.
And sometimes at like the Krav Maga studio that I train at, we do have kickboxing classes. Because look, if a fight breaks out, you have to know how to like slip a punch, how to dodge a punch, how to throw a kick, how to punch and everything. But yeah, like in Krav Maga, you can do groin strikes, eye gouges,
Grappling.
things like that. Grappling, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit less ground focus because because like they kind of encourage you not to go to the ground because in a street situation there's no rule saying that the person who's attacking you doesn't have friends, right? If you go to the ground, you can only grapple with one person. If you have multiple attackers, they can just kick you in the head.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they can use their legs, and this is not the vulnerable position.
Yeah, it's a really bad. They can just kick you in the head right there. I mean,
Yeah.
like if you're in the octagon, right, in the UFC, you can kind of count on there only being one person that you have to deal with. In that case, you can kind of take your time a little bit more and like grapple, right?
Unless it's wrestling.
What?
Unless it's wrestling.
Unless it's wrestling.
American wrestling,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's like two people in wrestling, right? Or
No.
WWE, you mean?
The point is that wrestling is a show. It's more like a circus. So they're trying to make it. They're trying to make a show out of it. So if you expect that there is one person there, then you never know who is going to jump on you.
That's how the best cousins are made.
Yeah, but okay, let's talk about like actual sports. So MMA.
Yeah,
The
MMA.
UFC fights, right? Yeah. But MMA is, I would say, it's more like an umbrella of different kinds of martial arts, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still do train like the Krav Maga studio. Like I said, like they also have MMA classes, like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. It is important to train in those arts, because the thing is, when you're taking a grappling class, you're actually like grappling with someone on the ground. There's a certain mental feeling that comes with that, right? Because the person's like pushing you on the ground, they're pinning you down. Like, in a real fight, that's how it is, right? Mentally, like someone might be on top of you, and like you're just like wrestling for control. Or, someone's striking you. It can kind of mentally prepare you.
I'm somewhat surprised that Krav Maga even includes practices for like groundwork.
There's a little bit.
If you get on the ground, then it's already, you kind of lost. As you mentioned, there might be like a bunch of like enemies around the corner jumping on you, and when you're on the ground, it's just no way you can get out of it.
It's not no way you can get out of it. It's just it's very high risk, right? Like I'm sure like there's a YouTube channel called Active Self-Protection. It's basically just a bunch of clips of self-defense situations. It's really useful for like understanding how these situations unfold. There's plenty of clips where like the victim is able to overpower the attacker and win. There's other clips where unfortunately the victim does not make it home. There's other clips where like the victim kind of gets injured. It covers the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily over if you go to the ground, but let's say you do. Sometimes like you don't have a choice, right? Sometimes a guy just tackles you and you're on the ground, not out of your own choice, not of your own volition. In that case, it's useful to know how to grapple, right? Because like maybe you like if you can get a submission, great, right? Like if you can snap his arm, if you can choke him out, that's all good. But even if you're not able to do that, if you can just get out of it and stand up, that's also a win.
That's a win for sure.
Yeah. So I guess the way to look at it is this: like if you're in a self-defense situation and you have the ability to either stand up or go to the ground, you should err towards standing up. That's kind of how I would view it, right? You don't necessarily get to decide how the fight plays out. The aggressor is the one who surprises you. They get to decide. And if you want to like reduce the element of surprise, you just have to like kind of be aware of your surroundings. You have to like look at how the person's behaving and everything.
Does it teach situations where the enemy, it's just more than one person attacking you, maybe from different angles, somebody is behind you,
Sorta, right? Like, it's not, it kind of, basically the whole, we do kind of train that a little bit, but, even if you train those situations, it's still really dangerous, right? It's just like, it's not a matter of how can I beat the shit out of 5 people. It's like,
you can scream really loud and their earbuds like are on.
That happens only in anime, Nikhil.
That's what I learned from YouTube. You just mentioned like, okay, you can watch YouTube for that.
I have a story about where screaming loud actually prevented the fight.
Yeah, because the other guys will be fed up because there are too many, right? Like, how can you fight too many people?
You can't. I don't know.
Once you scream, like, it goes everywhere. It's a universal. You don't have to scream individually.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like some people. But for multiple attackers, I guess the principle is like you kind of want to line them up. You don't want to have them come from multiple angles and be like having.
That's what I also learned karate when I was a kid, and so the principle is like at a time, if even there are like 50 people attacking you, at one point in time, only 4% can be on top of you, not more than that, because they can come from 4 angles, right? There is no more space available. So at a time if you are able to tackle 4 people maximum, that's good enough to tackle more than 4 people, like maybe 20 people.
So what's the best way to tackle 4 people? Run away?
That's the thing,
Here, it's not really. I don't think that you can really say what's the best way.
Or you eject in the space.
It's not necessarily what's the best way. It's more so what's the least worst way to deal with it.
Least worst to get beat up.
Yeah, like let's say 4 guys jump you, right? And one guy manages to hit you in the nose and break your nose, but then you knock him out and you're able to like run off, right? Yeah, maybe you didn't pull like a Kingsman on them, right? Like in the Kingsman, like you see them beat the shit out of 4 people. You didn't do that, but you kind of managed to get away. That's like the best you can do, right? So it's not necessarily can I beat the shit out of 4 people. It's just how do you make the situation less worse?
But isn't like now if there are 20 people, you can expect at least one of them will have gun. And then all your martial arts, everything goes out of the door.
I think it kind of depends. What's the nature of the attack? Is it premeditated, or is it like it's like a riot, some sort of an uprising? What's the deal?
Yeah, that's right. But like this is America, you can never expect what will happen.
Yeah,
who
it's
has
true.
gun, who doesn't.
Yeah, we are an armed country. The country is awash in firearms. Some people, when it comes to multiple attackers, some people like to carry a firearm. They like to do that, right? In that case, you might have a chance, right? Because, the moment you pull out that firearms on them,
then all the fight is resolved.
Yeah,
it's like nuclear weapon, right?
Maybe, I guess. In a way, it's a
show
deterrent.
that, then all the
Yeah.
fight is gone.
Yeah, like, some people, the moment you pull the gun, they're like, okay, shit, I'm not doing
Okay.
this.
Yeah, there's no point in like there's no point in like being more aggressive from there.
Yeah, like, obviously, you should definitely try to talk your way out of these situations, right?
Diplomacy.
Yeah, diplomacy.
That's the best. That's
Yeah,
the best. Thing. I
awareness.
guess that's the most important weapon.
Yeah, that is.
So I have a story about this, guys. So
Sure.
it's not about Krav Maga, but so when I was growing up in Russia in 90s, it was a tough time where you get in the street and it's violent and dangerous environment already because of mugging, robbing, killing, whatever, all the assaults going on. That's why my parents were sending me to like self-defense classes, karate and kickboxing. I've spent maybe like 5-6 years there, and the coach, he was like I would say not a large dude, like small frame, and his career was the way of making money was he was a violinist, and he was playing violin with my mom, who was also a violinist back then, and that's how.
I'm like connecting the dots. So he's
Yeah,
violinist and he was violent.
He's
Very
he wasn't-
violent
he wasn't
violinist.
violent. No, he wasn't violent. He was very this calm, like
Okay, I
you
see.
don't mess with me type. You see,
I want to see a violinist like yes,
violent.
yes.
Okay, so
go on.
like it's like this like a superhero, a kind of type where he just walks around the town with a violin on his back and looks totally harmless. You see, but he's also like European champion in karate at the same time, holding multiple titles and whatnot, so he can actually kick ass. So the story goes the way that
The Beauty and the Beast kind of.
and he was short or small, as I mentioned, maybe like 5'6" or something, So the story goes like he was walking in the park with his wife or a significant other, I don't remember, and two huge dudes approaching him and trying to rob him. You see, and they're like, well, like give us all you have, give us your wallet, give us your watch and stuff. And he's like, well, guys, you don't want to mess with me. The guy was like, with violin on his back. So they start to laugh.
Was he like fucking?
But so they kind of trying to laugh him off, and they just kept assaulting. And at some point, he transforms. Well, so that guy was able to the trick when you can run to the wall, then just run up the wall, do the flip, and then so he was that kind of level.
So you don't want to mess with me. I'm Liam Ness.
Yeah,
He
so
knew
he's-
parkour.
Well, he was able to do a lot of things. He was very flexible and very agile. Because of his frame and because of the amount of hours he was putting into
Over the
upkeeping
years, have
his-
acquired very specific skills.
Yeah.
Which is very bad for people like you.
So essentially, those guys were running away the fastest in their lives from him. After he just done a couple moves and that's it. They were just fleeing the scene. Like, oh my God, what happened? Who the hell is this guy? So why am I telling the story? It's because
You grew up in Russia.
no, it wasn't about me. It was about perception of like common sense in martial arts. You will try to avoid the conflict, and it's more about your self-confidence, like your ability to maintain the pressure, to sustain, and to not start the fight yourself. You see, but be aware of the environment and be prepared that at some point it can go.
That's what the
south.
Jordan Peterson says. Jordan Peterson, like he's a psychiatrist. He said like you have to be a monster to be a best person or human. You have to be a monster, but a controlled monster. Like you know how to control yourself, but you should know everything what you are capable of.
Yeah. So now, the reason why I wanted to touch this topic is because martial arts are about kind of, self-journey. Putting time, putting effort, getting incrementally better, little by little, every day. So basically, tell us about this belt system in Krav Maga.
So, all right, sure. So the belts that you have, let's see.
Is it different from the karate?
Slightly, I think. Yeah, slightly. Let's see. So you have white belt, yellow belt, orange belt, green belt, blue belt, then brown belt, and black belt. So you have 7 belts. I think in karate or taekwondo, you got a red belt, right? Yeah, Krav Maga doesn't quite have that. So let's see. I guess
you are brown belt there.
Yeah, I'm a brown belt. Yeah,
One belt before the top.
for the black. Yeah, and then after that, you have like second degree black.
Don't mess with this guy, guys.
Anyway, you know, it's really easy to go from white belt to yellow belt, right? You just learn some of the basic stuff, right? You learn how to throw a punch, kick. You know, even if your technique isn't perfect, you'll kind of get it, right? But you know, as time goes on, when you reach like blue belt, it's hard to go from blue. It's hard to go from blue to brown. Then it's even harder to go from brown to black. There's much more time in between belts. You know, you have to really get certain things down. Like they'll put a lot of like mental pressure on you, things like that. Your technique has to be really good. You have to be able to just deal with, the standards just get much higher. It's hard to progress.
That's very interesting. Speaking of like, you said like Russia is pretty violent in school time, right?
It was always violent. There was never a good time there.
Is it true that people would carry around like
Kill?
rifles with them or something? Was that? I don't know.
Is
if
it
that's an urban legend.
like
You can't-
ammunitions are allowed? Like
No. You can't carry weapons.
No, but during that time when it was really violent, people would just like carry
In
weapons.
90s,
right?
yes.
Yeah, 90s. Yeah.
Pretty much everybody was for themselves, you know, and the people were trying to.
that was the
defend-
crazy time.
defend
split
it
off,
whichever way.
Soviet
It
Union.
was much crazier. I just don't want to go into it. It's quite sad, but
Okay, yeah, that's
Anyways.
probably. Let's not.
I
let's not
remember
make him
one
dig
of
it up.
my school stories, primary school, and I was so we were like small class, and I had a fight with a guy, and he was twice my height. I was a pretty big guy, and I was like, and I never thought whenever I jump into a fight. So
Yeah.
I said, okay, we got into a fight, and then so we decided, and then there was a moderator, the guy who will moderate was a referee. So he said that, okay, let's not do it in school because we'll get beat up by the principal and teachers and everything. We'll settle this in outside in a park. Okay. So we all like settle, okay, we are having fight, we are angry, but we'll control it and we'll go outside and then settle in the park. And literally my whole almost whole school, they just gathered around the park, and then we were two guys in the between. It was nothing of that sort of fight, but it turned into a tournament. And there was me and the other guy who was twice my height, big, and he was kind of like a badass already. And this moderator guy, we went into complete like WWE format in the sense, okay, he was a referee and he's like, it's stand in the middle. It's like 1, 2, 3, go.
Like a Bollywood movie.
Literally that happened in the park and everyone was watching it. And oh my God. And then like the next thing you know what happened, right? I got beat up on so bad. Because that guy was twice my age, but I could throw some punches and all, but I got beat up pretty bad.
twice
And
your
then
age or twice your size?
My size.
Yeah, twice your age would be like 30.
I mean, he was older than me for sure, and he was a like street smart kind of guy.
Yeah.
So that was like pretty interesting, and then I had to hide my wound from my parents. Be careful about it, not to show.
What was the wound? Was it like?
I mean, like a blue, and he hit me on the back with
an elbow. Damn, yeah, those are bad. Those
It
give
was
you,
the
those,
worst thing you can have. Like it pains for almost like 2 weeks, but I said like, okay, it was not that of a big deal. What we made it out to be by gathering all the people and making it serious, and in the park like a full blown fight. So I mean, that was a interesting experience to hit above your capacity.
In school though, it's more about
honor, right? Status. But you know, with
Yeah.
Eugene,
Yeah.
it's like
But this thing happened after that. Then after that, there was no more fight with me.
there was no
anymore.
more fight.
Even though I got beat up,
This is
even like
Yeah,
it was
it's
pretty bad.
inconvenient.
I mean, I could throw some punches, so I got beat up pretty bad. But still, there was like no one
Exactly.
messed in the sense like there was no more fight with me and with anyone.
Yeah, it's not
for the rest of the time.
I guess they decided it wasn't
It's
worth
like
it.
this
Right?
isn't worth it.
Yeah, like
he's like a chihuahua.
yeah, I mean, Chihuahua can't kill you, but like,
But, like-
still, do you really want the bite mark? But back to like, I think with Eugene's like the type of violence that Eugene has had to
Well,
face.
that's a completely different
Yeah,
violence.
like
yeah.
with the fight that you were in, there was like some rules, right? Like don't kill the guy. Here, it's like with Eugene, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
no, they'll fucking kill you if they want to, right?
Yeah, we had formal rules. No hitting below belt. don't incapacitate the guy.
Yeah, I mean, you can at least count on the guy not having a weapon, but with Eugene, it's like yeah, people probably had knives and shit, right? Like
Dude, it was super violent. I'm telling you, it's like everybody was just for
Oh,
themselves.
of course, that's a totally
People just
different
disappear in the street every time you go out. Well, back in the day, I haven't been there for many years, so I don't really know how things are there in the street. But back in the day, people were just going out, and there is no guarantee you'll be back. You see, because anybody can just jump you if you have even a bit anything valuable on you, and the life is worth
Was the
nothing.
situation so bad that
Yes.
there were not enough jobs and food?
There was no way to actually make any money.
Oh,
yeah,
see.
poverty
so
was
it was
really
more
bad.
anarchy.
Yeah, it was there was no pretty much government.
Yeah,
There was no enforcement, no police, nothing.
Were the police like corrupt? Like they didn't really care? Or,
There was
like,
no police.
Oh, they just weren't enough.
I mean, the idea that there is police somewhere existed, but nobody,
They weren't gonna come if you called.
because police is supposed to be funded by the government, and the government didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So nobody was actually doing any work because there is no money, but there is no point.
Yeah, the crime gets rampant and like
Crime was just through the roof, you see, so you kind of have to live in the environment where you know that you can, and that's the reason why I remember my hours spent at kickboxing class, and it included physical preparation, right? But this wasn't the most grueling and the most difficult. The difficult part is the sparrings. Well, they exist pretty much in any like martial art, but sparrings are not usually. It's not usually like rules and it's one to one one to one enemy. Sometimes it's in a form of tournament where the strongest guy gets the next partner. You see, and then who wins gets the next partner and so on. You see, so if you're strong enough, then eventually you're going to get beaten. You see, if you're not strong enough, you will just go down faster. And some people are because of that. Some guys were trying to purposefully go down faster because they just couldn't keep getting more of next fights, you see. But then another type of like sparring was where your whole purpose of that was to just sustain this mental pressure, where you are
survival.
yeah, kind of survival. Yeah, but basically you stand against the wall with your back to the wall. You see, so you don't have any room to maneuver or run away. And like when you are like lower belt, one guy comes and punches you. Just keeps punching you for like 2-3 minutes. If you the higher is your belt, the more guys are coming to you and punching you. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3 guys punching one person. And the goal of this person is to just being able to dodge and survive and just to not freak out. See, so this is the mental pressure, the one you mentioned. This is the way. It's basically yes, you are scared, but you know that you will not die. So it's basically controlled. It's kind of desensitizing you to fear.
Yeah, I think.
That's very much right.
Yeah, that's.
Did you have any story about your learning your martial art or
Let's see.
manga? What
Krav Maga.
Krav
Usually
Maga,
not manga. Krav Maga. Yeah.
I have to look it up. What it is.
Yeah, I think Eugene, we've done drills kind of like that in my Krav Maga class. Sometimes like we'll put on vests.
Yes.
And you're put up in a wall and people can punch you full force, right? That's the point of the vest. It lets people punch fully full force and everything, and you just kind of have to like push out or like survive, right?
Oh, can you do that? Like you tighten your stomach muscles so
Yeah, you
much
tighten
that-
your,
yes.
you tighten it. Yeah, tightening it is really important. Like when you're training, you do it right when they throw
Yeah,
body
right.
punches, so you can take the punch easy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we definitely have like some drills where like you don't have a lot of distance, right? Normally, like in like regular sparring, you can kind of stay back and like throw a punch every now and then. But sometimes, we'll have drills where like you're just in an enclosed space and you have to just brawl, right? That is a style of boxing, right? Like
there's not much space to dodge it.
Sometimes you don't get
take it.
Yeah, you sometimes don't get space, right? Like, especially in like a densely populated place like Israel, right? Like, what was it called? Jerusalem, right? That's pretty densely populated. There's like very narrow. Like if you go and walk through the markets, it's very narrow.
Oh, narrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have a lot of leg room, right? So you have to use knees, elbows. You have to like cover. You might get hit. That's part of it.
I see.
But yeah, that is an important thing. You have to just build that aggression, I think. Obviously, it's hard to completely simulate real life in in a martial arts studio, right? Because certain compromises have to be made for safety. But yeah, you have to just get as close as you can without causing any injury to yourself, or at least minimizing injury.
That is.
I think the other thing that we were talking about was like awareness, right? One book that I read that's really been helpful was it's Left of Bang. It's written
Left of Bang.
Yeah, Left of Bang. It's essentially a book on just situational awareness, or like certain things to look for. There's basically a principle in that book called the combat rule of 3. If you observe 3 anomalies, 3 unusual things, you have to do something, right? So that can mean fighting, fleeing, positioning yourself in a different place, doing something. It doesn't necessarily mean,
Take some action.
Yeah, do something. So what's an example of an anomaly, right?
Guy pulling out a gun.
Well, if you're at a range, what if you're at a range? That's not an anomaly then, right? Things have to be evaluated within the environment
context.
you're in. Yeah, context.
Yeah, okay.
Context is important. There's basically 6 categories, or like 6 things you have to kind of want to like pay attention to when you're out and about. So there's proxemics, biometrics, body language, atmosphere. What else? Let me see. Let me pull it up here for a moment.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, let me see if I can remember it. I have like the Kindle app. Let me pull it here.
Guys, we're gonna read the book to you now.
Yeah.
Go into a therapy session.
So the details about the book will be below. I'm also curious to read it.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, it's actually taught. This guy like teaches it to U.S. Marines. Like,
Oh, really?
it's really useful. Yeah, like they use it. I think they've used it in like places like Afghanistan, because often the enemy doesn't wear a uniform, right? Like the Taliban, they don't always wear a uniform. They'll sometimes just look like civilians.
Yeah.
So you can't really rely on a uniform. Here. Perfect decisions, detail. The 6 domains. Oh yeah, there's 6 domains here. So there's body language, biometrics, proxemics, geographics, iconography, and atmospherics. Those are like the 6
So
domains.
if you see anomaly in that, then you gotta take some action.
It depends, right? Certain anomalies are more severe than others. Let's come up with an example here. Let's say, I don't know, you're like, you're in I'm trying to think. Let's say you're in a coffee shop, right? There are certain areas where people gather, right? Like, for example, they might wait in line at like the cash register, right? That's called a proxemic pull. That's kind of like where people sort of gather.
Yeah.
Then there's things called proxemic pushes. Basically, it's things that kind of push people away. So let's say you're in a crowded area and you see like in one part of the crowd, people are moving away from that. It doesn't necessarily mean something really bad's happening, but you should pay attention. It's like, okay, why are people moving away? People tend to move away from things that that make them feel unsafe, that they don't like.
Food is bad.
What?
Maybe
What's
the
bad?
Food.
Food?
A crowded place.
Crowded.
The food is bad. People will go away.
Yeah, that's one thing. Maybe the smell is really bad. Yeah.
No,
Or
I'm just kidding. Yeah, that makes sense actually. And I guess humans are hardwired to sense these things in a sense. With the evolution happened because you're trying to avoid any trouble, and humans are like pretty perceptive in the sense that. But if you know what you are looking for, what is
exactly.
a definite sign?
if you can articulate it,
yeah.
that's really helpful.
So that will be like very helpful to be proactive in being safeguarding yourself in whatever way you think best. Kind of
Precisely,
thing, right?
exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah.
so again, let's say you're in like a crowded concert, right? The first anomaly is like, okay, wait, there's a proxemic push, right? People kind of moving away from a particular area in the crowd. It's like, okay, that's a little suspicious. But then like, let's say the atmosphere changes, right? Normally at like a concert, people like dancing, it's really loud. Suddenly then like the music shuts off, then people aren't dancing anymore. They're like stone silent, right?
Would you call it a
DJ sucks.
Yeah. Wait, what were you asking?
would you call it a dangerous situation? Say, like when the proxemic push is quite clear, someone says, "Hey, I have a bomb." Everyone will try to just get out.
It doesn't mean bomb. It might be like maybe a couple of drunk guys are at it, right? If a couple of drunk guys are at it, that's
fight or something.
Yeah, they'll hit each other. They'll get thrown out, whatever, right? So it's not necessarily okay. It's really bad. It's on a spectrum. It's like, okay, that's a little suspicious. Then you keep paying attention. Then like another anomaly occurs, right? The atmosphere changes, right? It's not, people aren't like happy and partying. They're all of a sudden like they're really serious. Then like, you observe a third anomaly.
It's basically 2 a.m. at any club.
2 a.m. at any club.
Yeah, people start making circle and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then bam, they are dancing.
So
one by one.
And then you notice like with people's body language, you can kind of see they're anxious, right? They're, their faces go pale or something, right? The biometrics. Then you can go, okay, something's wrong. I'm sure you've had situations where like you felt like something was just off. That's what, like, a lot of it falls into these 6 categories, into these 6
Yeah, but
domains.
you don't know what it is,
Yeah,
kind of thing. But if you know what to look for, maybe you'll figure it out.
Exactly. Now, the combat rule of 3 doesn't mean you have to wait for 3 anomalies to act, right? Sometimes if you see one anomaly and that a particular anomaly is really unusual, you can do something right then and there. So like, if someone pulls out a rifle,
of course. Like if you get punched in the face, then you don't want to wait for the second. There's more count. Like I just saw one anomaly.
I mean, before someone punches you, there's already certain body language cues you can look for. Like Eugene, you can probably back me up on this. Like if someone puts like their right foot back, and they're like looking at your jaw, you can kind of go, okay, yeah, they're thinking about hitting me in the face, right? You can kind of tell that they're about to do something.
That's a good example, but there are even more subtle.
Yeah, more subtle things.
Like when the striker is about to take the shot for the goal.
So basically,
the goalkeeper will see the body language.
One reason why I say, like when you hold your hands behind you.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
The person who does this, they're very oftenly, at least back in the day, that meant
you're hiding
something in their hand, such as some kind of weapon, right? And they just don't want you to see that. So this is basically a violent.
That's why you should talk like this. Hey,
Sometimes it's like you have to stop talking. You have to say, okay, this guy's fucking crazy. You have to go for the first strike, right? Sometimes you can just kick him like before he hits you.
Yeah,
that requires really good judgment, though.
Another one is basically when someone just kind of like measures and sizes you and just kind of like they don't look into your eye, but they kind of like looking around you. You see, like
looking for witnesses,
looking for your weak spots. You see, so that's another one. Again, I rarely see it here, in this society, but
reminds me of an incident, not related to this, but when I was learning karate, my teacher was like super nice in the sense, and like you have to learn a few things and you have to practice like back repeatedly the same thing and you get tired of it. So we had like punches, low punch, high punch, and kick and round kick and all. I don't remember all of that, but you have to learn split also, right? And so every day we'll practice split. So it has been like 2 weeks or something, and my split was not complete. And you don't want to force it. I mean, you don't want it takes time. I don't know how much time it takes. And my professor was a very nice guy. I respected him, like really, really good in explaining and taking your time to learn anything, but you got to practice and he'll motivate you. And then he was motivating everyone to like do the split and then be like go harder on it. So one day there was this session, and then he was a little tipsy in the sense that I don't know what happened. So, and then he was like, okay, now we'll do a split. I said, okay. And then I was looking for motivation that, okay, you're going to motivate now everyone. So he came closer. My split was not complete. So he came closer, and then I was like waiting for what is the motivation this time, what you want to say. And to my surprise, the next thing I remember, I was screaming because he put his whole weight on me. And I did the full split. I was like, fuck!
Oh, it was really in the groin area.
Oh man, that day when I walked into the home,
Oh.
Oh God.
I could not walk for like 2-3 days. But apparently, I don't blame him in the sense that he knew what he was doing, and once you are waited for 2 weeks, then your muscles are relaxed enough that it won't cause an injury. So he knew that it won't cause an injury, but I didn't know that it's gonna be so abrupt. So
Yeah.
that's like, you remember few things from your childhood, right? So I remember like that specific 2 seconds when he pushed his weight on me and I was like full split. And after that, I was so proud that, I can do a split. But where it is coming from, it's a different story.
Was there any situation in life where your Krav Maga knowledge was helpful?
Define Krav Maga knowledge. Do you mean like the physical aspect of actual fighting, or do you mean like being aware? Because like some people would say that's part of like.
That's part,
Anything
definitely.
could be happen, right?
So,
Maybe
like,
you thought like, because of knowing Krav Maga, I am able to better assess the situation, or I save myself because of that. Or now I know this thing because I know this form of art.
Let's see. So I've never been in like a full-on fist fight.
Yeah.
When
That's good, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of avoid it. I don't.
So that's successful. Your
Yeah.
learning is successful. That means.
Yeah, it's great. I don't. It's not really worth it to get into like verbal, back and forth or exchanges. It's just like, if someone takes your parking space, why do you really want to tell the guy to go fuck himself? It's like, maybe you want to, but is it really a good idea? It's just like, just let it happen. Just find another parking spot. It's not really worth it.
Yeah, I sometimes smile when people get angry, and I'm like, what's the point of being angry? Like, especially on road, sometimes people like get super angry and like they start yelling, and like there's no point in like honking or yelling if there is a red light or something like that, right? I guess if you can control your emotions much better, understand the situation when you have to lose control and when you have to control your aggression, I guess that's what like all this fighting form also teaches you, in the sense that, so if you are not been to a fight, that means you are able to control yourself better because you know you can do it, you can fight and all.
Yeah, to me, martial arts, it's essentially a power that you gain over, I would say, some random people, average people. Well, not average, but let's not use this term. Random people in the crowd, right? So it also comes with the responsibility to not unleash this power at some stupid environment where you can easily avoid it. So, to your example, if someone takes your spot, I mean, nothing happens, right? You're not in danger. But say if you're walking in the street and suddenly someone jumps out of like a dark area and starts punching you, that's where you might save your own life.
Yeah, that's where you hurt him. You got to hurt him, unfortunately.
Exactly.
You're not at the point where you can talk him down.
Yes. So it's not about bullying, Yes, you can be. So it's like the example I started with in the very beginning. You can be extremely kick-ass, but it's not about bullying. It's more about protecting yourself. So he was trying to avoid the conflict, unless he had to act.
Okay. I think that's important, avoiding the conflict. I'm guessing you still want me to like elaborate on like.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What I wanted to, we actually 54 minutes, so we need to wrap up in a few minutes. I'm trying to make those things a bit shorter.
Sure.
But my point was that any kind of martial art is more about how do you motivate yourself to go there every time. How do you motivate yourself to push yourself a bit harder every time, because this is where the progress is coming from. And how do you measure your success, satisfaction metrics? So basically today I was able to get into like one more fight, at the gym.
Okay, so you're asking me like how I measure my success in martial arts, I guess.
Yeah, how do you measure your improvement? How do you know you're improving?
Let's see. I guess it's kind of like weightlifting, right? In the beginning, you make a lot of gains, but then like the progress kind of slows a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a curve.
What?
There's a curve.
Yeah,
like
there's a
that.
curve, right? Because there's not as much to learn, like right. Like when I was a white belt, I learned from white belt to like green belt. I learned a lot, right? And then as a brown belt, it's like it's more so about just getting certain things down. I think. We do have a syllabus, right? My Krav Maga place does have a syllabus. So I guess, I could measure the success, like, okay, I learned something from this session, right? I learned a new technique, or I was doing a certain technique wrong and I fixed it. Or, another metric of success would be I mentally push myself, right? Because like you said, if someone starts punching you, there's something called the OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, and act.
OODA.
Yeah, OODA.
OODA loop,
Yeah. So when someone's punching you, right? If you basically he's ahead, he's already acting, he's already hitting you.
Yes.
By the time you observe, oh, he's punching me, and then you orient yourself, he's already punching you again. You're basically stuck in this cycle of where you're observing and orienting yourself. You're not able to actually decide and like act. So, I guess when it gets up to the higher levels, it's more about like you need to like learn to be aggressive, right? Not necessarily like if someone cuts me off in traffic, I'm gonna beat the shit out of him aggressive, but like. No, if someone's a little bit more, someone's trying to hurt you, and they might have they might be bigger and stronger. You're still willing to not give up, right?
To not die.
Yeah.
This happened like yesterday with me. I was like, there was a wide lane and I had to take a right, and I just went ahead and took a right, but there was another car, so I passed it. And I actually didn't know when I started that those are going to the same right direction. There's only one lane, but it's super wide. And that other guy, and we stopped at the red light because of the right turn. And that other guy, he started honking. I said, okay. And then he rolled down the window and started yelling, "It's only one lane! It's only one lane!" I was like, okay, I know. And then I yelled it back, okay, I'm sorry, but it was fun. And then his complete mood changed because he was so angry earlier. He was only one lane, and fuck you and all. And then when I said that, okay, it was sorry, it was fun. And then his mood changed, like, okay. And he started laughing. In like a split second, his whole mood changed.
That's really helpful. You can diffuse situations.
That reminds me. So I have another friend who is like a security officer, and pretty much his whole life he was running this, like physical security
Bouncer,
not bouncer, like actual, like like a bank, like money transfer. This
okay,
kind of,
so he drives like a security truck or an armored vehicle.
He runs a company that hires the security people.
Okay.
And then he kind of lends the security people to whatever institutions needed them. So his advice was that if you can make your enemy laugh, there will be no fight ever. Yeah. You see,
because
it's one of the smartest ways.
If you know you can fight, then you can do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's difficult to do that. So if you have that power already, and then you can make your enemy laugh, I guess that's
basically what happened.
Because that guy, fuck you,
I guess
it's only one lane, and then you're my man, yeah.
I guess
my man.
It can work for or against you, right? Because if you start smiling, they might be like, "What the fuck is so funny," right? But then you might make them laugh. It's like,
I mean, the situation was not. I mean, obviously, I understand that people come from different experiences.
Yeah.
I don't know how their day went, and if something wrong happens, they get bursts out. But you gotta understand what the other person is coming from.
Yeah.
If the situation is not so bad, but taking it wrong, then that means there's something else going on in their life, kind of thing.
Cool. All right, guys.
Awesome.
So Ati, it was really good to talk about those topics. I wish you had a bit more of social media going on for you, so we can maybe help you promote the social media, and you also help us promote our social media.
sure.
So if you wanna send us some clips that you want to be part of this podcast, we can also embed them. But otherwise, guys, follow his Instagram. It's going to be below. Also, look out for Ati's IMDb page, which is going to be really soon.
Yep, I'm gonna make one.
Wikipedia,
Yeah,
exactly.
IMDb.
That's all you got.
Yeah, and look out for his new role in whichever show is going to be.
Oh yeah, we are super excited about your acting career actually.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Because I saw his. I mean, you guys should check out his Instagram. Pretty good, and you posted that, and it was very solid performance. I would say, I was impressed by that. Guys, check out his Instagram. He got good acting skills.
I haven't posted a lot of acting reels yet, so just keep that in mind. I've mostly just shit posted.
So
on
check out
Instagram.
his friend's Instagram. Who posts for him?
I know.
Yeah,
Eugene,
I've been
you're
tagged,
you're
yeah.
the one who posted it. Eugene tagged me in his story, but still follow me though. I'll take the followers. You should still follow me.
Cool.
Awesome.
You want to close?
Yeah, guys. So it was amazing having Atharva here. We loved you,
Atirath.
and we are so excited, like, to find out many other things about you. Like, I didn't know about you. Got so much insight into martial art, and you read all these books. And thank you for introducing us to the new books and new information, new knowledge. And hope we find you back again sometime. And guys, follow him. And follow us, and you will find more of his videos somewhere in the description. Thanks.
Thank you too.
Thank you. It was great.
Yeah. All right. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Cool. We're good.